Rookie mistake. Hello and welcome to Beth of Fresh Air. Nice to see you here, April 17, 2026. It snowed overnight here in Manitoba, so it's looking kind of wintry and high speed winds and just crappy, no sun whatsoever. Hello and welcome to Audrey. I'm so glad you made it live. Nice to have you here as well. Nice to be here, of course. And so this is the Beth of Fresh Air on the King Hero channel, where I do host King Hero archetype interviews. You'll notice there are less of them these days. I'm a little bit more focused on Beth of Fresh Air, but when a King Hero comes along that I want to interview, then that I'm feeling good I have that platform. And I met up with a fellow, either Drew Coover, or Andrew Coover. I'll figure out how to say his last name exactly. Yesterday through Shadow Davis, who is a local broadcaster who went, into the truth movement. I've been on his show. He's been on my show. Politically, I don't have much affiliation. Often I turn that show on and I'm going, oh, darn it. So that sucks. Hello, quietly contented bear. Nice to see you. Possible tornado. Oh my goodness. Well, wish you all the best and prayers for that not hitting you and harming you guys. Yeah, it's pretty weird out there. But Drew is, I actually did post, maybe I can grab it from my Telegram. I posted his channel. I won't worry about that right now. And he helps I'll just talk about him a little bit before we get started today. And he helps people on the streets. So where people don't want to go. You might have heard from an episode or two ago that we had a loss in the family to one of the homeless camps. Not directly related. I didn't actually know them. It's my brother-in-law. And so this interview Shadow did with Drew caught my attention. And he's like a serious warrior out there, having himself been on the streets and being part of that whole culture and drug addiction and, just the madness that is unfortunately scaling every day in our world. And true King Hero. So I immediately got in contact with him. Luckily, he responded to me. He's got a background, like a great big guy, football player. He's just the right one to go into homeless camps and drug dens and all of those kind of places because, and they do, he actually got stabbed and died on a table doing that. So I just felt like, I want to share that with you guys. That won't be until May 8th because I'm going to be away for a week in Confluence. Anyone out there going to Confluence? I might see you there. I know we have a few House of Free Will members that are going to meet us there, and that will be fun. My son's going to be there. So here we go to Texas. And as a result, I'm pretty sure there won't be any Beth of Fresh Air next week unless I have a great connection and the stars line up, and then I'll come on spontaneously. So, all right, my dear. So let me know how you're doing if you're there in the chat. And we're going to talk about letting shit go today. I actually wanted to share with you a really funny video. It's not a demonstration of anything that I recommend. It's kind of actually a trickster video, but I almost called this stream "Stop It," and it was related to this video that I got shown when I was a kid. Any Bob Newhart fans out there? So wish me luck. I'm going to play this with any fortune. We are not going to get a commercial from it. And you guys can let me know if you can hear it. I'm going to mute myself for background noise.
Tell me about the problem that you wish to address.
Oh, okay. Well, I have this fear of being buried alive in a box. I start thinking about being buried alive and I begin to panic.
Has anyone ever tried to bury you alive in a box?
No, but truly thinking about it does make my life horrible. I mean, I can't go through tunnels or be in an elevator or in a house, anything boxy.
So what you're saying is you're claustrophobic.
Yes, that's it.
All right, well, let's go, Catherine. I'm going to say 2 words to you right now. I want you to listen to them very, very carefully. Then I want you to take them out of the office with you and incorporate them into your life.
Shall I write them down?
Well, if it makes you comfortable, it's just 2 words. We find most people can remember them.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here they are.
Stop it!
I'm sorry?
Stop it!
Stop it?
Yes, S-T-O-P, new word, I-T.
So what are you saying?
You know, it's funny. I say 2 simple words, and I cannot tell you the amount of people who say exactly the same thing you're saying. I mean, this is not Yiddish, Catherine. This is English.
Stop it.
So I should just stop it.
There you go. I mean, you don't want to go through life being scared of being buried alive in a box, do you? I mean, that sounds frightening.
Yes.
Then stop it.
I can't. I mean, it's been with me since childhood.
No.
There you go. So that's for a little bit of nonsense value. It's just a really fun thing to witness and see. And it's, I have to admit, as a coach, there are times when I do want to yell, stop it or drop it or something like that. And does anybody here want to say why it doesn't work? Sadly, it makes for great comedy, but doesn't actually work. Yeah, if it did, I'd be saying that a lot more. But I have fun with it, and sometimes I'll joke around with myself like that. But yeah, you can't. Why doesn't it work? If somebody comes and tells you they have this pain or they have this grievance or something that they're going through and they can't let it go, and why can't you just tell them to drop it, right? If it worked, great, but it just doesn't. So yeah, any thoughts out there? There you go. Yeah, quietly contented bear said, a quietly content bear. I have a hunch because suppression doesn't work. Yeah, and that's generally. So children are taught this way all the time. Like, stop it, stop crying, stop yelling, stop being that way, behaving that way, or I'll give you something to cry about. So like the stop it. We tell the government stop it, and you tell people you don't like to just stop it, and things go on entirely uninterrupted as a result. So this is not the tool necessarily, or a better way to say that would be that there are some things leading up to it. So that's why I did the episodes that came previously, where the big things leading up to this possibility of actually dropping your shit, whatever it is, you gotta first spot it. You gotta recognize that there's a pattern, that there's a pain. You gotta actually recognize that you're holding on. This is something that very often in the coaching process, if somebody is not unable to let something go, I'll bring their awareness. Like, can you see how you're actually clenching to it? Either could be with the muscles in your body and the tension that we tend to carry, completely being unaware of that, or just with your will, but the unconscious will, which has the power of the unconscious, meaning all your power. And so once you spotted a pattern, and then you track it and you see, how does this show up in my life? Not just in, say, this one relationship or this one work situation, but across the board. Because how you do anything tends to be how you do everything. You might have heard that expression before. It's very true. So once you see the pattern, start looking, how does it play out in your health? How does it play out in your family relationships and your friends? How does it play out in your romance or romances that you've had? How does it play out in your work life, in your finances, and also very much in your sacred purpose or your spiritual life? So you'll start to be able to see that across the board. And that can be kind of a hard place because in some ways, people always say ignorance is bliss, right? It's quote unquote easier to be unconscious. You don't have a lot of the pain. You don't have the awareness of going through these patterns. But if you actually desire freedom in your life, that's going to move you towards greater seeing of the patterns and the tracking of the patterns, and and from there actually recognizing the structure that holds them in place. Again, whether that's a physical kind of a holding or a willful mental decision inside that you're not aware of. And so most people, when they find a problem, there's going to be some basic go-to things that are not this. They're going to try to fix it, manage it. They're going to think about it endlessly. When new people come into my world and they have an idea, they want to work with me, and maybe they book with me, but they haven't actually got to that place of being able to recognize the patterns and the structures that hold them in place. So what do is they try to explain it. They try to, see all of its machinations, all of its workings, all of the ins and outs, all of the why they think they're stuck there in that place. And for the most part, all that does is cause people to just go in circles and loops. Start to observe the thinking patterns and how, the stuckness might cause you, the pain of the stuckness might cause you to go into this analysis, what do they say, analysis paralysis kind of state. And you can watch for the loops and the stations of the thinking and the feeling, how it all ends up in the mix there. There's almost always a common landing place. Many people land in apathy, because when you can't just stop it and you're analyzing it, then you're going to end up in this place where you can't care anymore. Why? Because the pain, you can't just go through pain without having that turn into numbness. There's an example, if you ever want to try it for yourself. I remember doing this as a kid where, you would poke yourself, could be just with your finger or something else, and you poke yourself and you poke yourself and you poke yourself and you poke yourself. There will come a time, it may take an hour or more, but there will come a time where you actually don't feel the poke anymore. And this is actually not a bad metaphor for a lot of people's lives, where their daily life puts them in that, poke or worse kind of place where they're getting that same poke. And then they just go numb to it because you can't cope with an ongoing pain. This is not a good example of the pain that it could be. But you'll notice how the poke that's not painful will be painful down the line. Even that small same pressure after some time is going to end up being an insult that you have to go numb to. So there is a way through this and a way to the other side that I'm deeply engaged with, and that you don't have to just struggle in the analysis of everything. Hello, Miss Eliza, with a fabulous sense of humor. Sending love to anyone going through loneliness, pain, or loss. That's beautiful. Very nice. Right? That's very high when you can wish well for others. Most people are locked in their own suffering, and it's not really their fault that they can't actively care for others in that way, because it's all consuming, energetically speaking, right? Where there's that much pain going on, there's going to be that numbness. People have no idea how expensive numbness. That takes all of your energy to hold those and to hold that energy in place, to establish it. It really requires your constant unconscious choice to have that be present or not present in the case of numbness in your awareness. And so it takes a lot of energy. It knocks the wind out of you. You're probably going to end up in all kinds of places. And, I made a list of things that we hold on to, and do chime in the chat if you hear any more. There's lots of things outside of ourself that we hold on to, like our possessions, right? that we have. It's like my home. It's not your home. It's my home. It could be our home, but it's primarily my home. And, my things, say my vehicle. Once I get it in my house that I pay for, it's my food, not your food. Although I like to share food. That's nice, of course. And, so we get titles to things like land, and then it has this like mine, it's mine, and we hold on to it. We don't, once you get something, you don't want to lose it, especially if you like it. We'll talk about that more as well. But honestly, inside of ourselves is a much bigger arena for this phenomena of holding on. I got at the top of the list, resentments, right? Where there's times of your life that people have caused you harm, done something wrong to you, cheated you, stolen from you. I've been noticing this. I went through a loss. I don't know. Is it a couple of years ago already or something? It's been a while, going on a couple of years. And I went to work with somebody. I made an arrangement to create a project with them, and I invested money into it because it seemed very worthwhile. It was bigger than I could ever do on my own. It gave me what I thought was going to be an opportunity to meet a lot of more people that I didn't already know, and that's always good. And then next thing you know, I get a letter saying they're out of the project and they took the money, and that was it. And it was like, oh my God. So, kind of a betrayal there. I think we've talked about betrayal quite a bit here. And then did it ever give me a lot of work to do? I have to say, just, it was a shock. It was intensity. It was just like really unbelievable. And I wanted to loop and analyze, and I definitely wanted to attack and smear campaign, and I wanted to all kinds of things. At the beginning, it was just like holding on like mad with all my might, not aware of that, just suffering a lot. And but because I have to walk my talk, because I talk about this stuff and I teach about it and I coach on it every day, then I can't really be in integrity with myself and just hold on to a resentment. And so I really went to work day after day after day, getting layers and layers and layers of all the things in the current, but of course, all of the things that it brought up from my own past as well. And miraculously got to a point where I wasn't in pain and I wasn't feeling like attacking. I know now that as long as I'm fearing and aggressing, even internally, that attracts a lot of weirdness. So I made sure to let that stuff go. I came to a place of being okay. Not that I agreed with it, not that I condoned it, not that I think it's right or okay. It's not. That behavior is absolutely not okay. But I was okay. And I healed myself from that resentment. Now, every so often I get an email, a group email from this individual, and they're always selling something, and then little niggles of resentment come up again, like, all right, you're selling something good, you're making money, you should. He has actually sent me a portion of the money and expressed that they want to send me the rest. So that's kind of miraculous, and I attribute that to if there's anything on my side I could attribute it to, it is letting go and dropping that. So hello, Miss Michelle. Nice to see you here. Glad to have you in the house. And and there's the link to Drew Cover's YouTube channel. Thank you. Much appreciated. You're such a great assistant, actually. Oh, so good. And so what else do people hold on to inside themselves? It can be that they're right. And this isn't 100% related, but I did want to talk about it a little bit. Have you guys been tuning in with Garrett Smith's stuff on nickel toxicity? This is the second week he's been podcasting about that. And put up your hand if there was any shock or resistance that came up for you around that. I'm putting my hand up. I definitely definitely went through some shock and resistance because I was in a comfort zone. I've got used to my love your liver diet and foods. I'm enjoying my diet. Things were mostly going well, although still some mysteries. And then when this came along, and it took a narrow diet into a little, even a much more narrow path of eating, and my brain just went like, no, it's a big no. I'm going to resist. No, no. And I started looking for loopholes, and I started looking for things that didn't hold water and inconsistencies in the conclusions. And I definitely went into an analysis of how to get myself out of that possibility. And you watched both episodes. Welcome, Universe. Yeah, kind of crazy. So I recognized, first of all, that I wasn't coming up with any really good loopholes. I wasn't. Every time I researched a loophole, I realized that I wasn't actually correct. And this is the thing. It's not quite related. I'll talk about this first. And then we were doing some work. I'm going to share a lot more about this, but we were doing some work on false personalities, letting those go in the House of Free Will. So I immediately recognized one of my false personalities that I call the prickly biatch. So I think you guys don't see prickly biatch or meet up with her very much. She doesn't come up in my day-to-day work, in my sessions with clients. I mean, some of you can joke. Yeah, you can, maybe you have seen it, because we often don't see about ourselves what other people see about us. But it does happen when I go outside and go through my daily, errands or some kind of thing. I actually don't go out every day, just full disclosure. I'm kind of a shut-in around here. I go out when I have to. And I notice I can definitely leave a trail behind me, whether it's traffic and a whole bunch of people that shouldn't actually be on the road because they're not qualified, or they are, masked up behind their closed car. That's not that common anymore, which is really good. That used to bother me a lot. Or just the weirdness of everything. It's the weirdness is everywhere out in the public. It really holds absolutely no charm for me anymore. And my prickly biatch comes out. And, sometimes I think I can leave a trail of people behind me that is like, who was that woman? What is she up to? I called the hotel that we're going to stay at today, and I'm like, can I have a non-scented room? They're like, huh? That makes no sense, lady. And I didn't turn into prickly biatch. So there's some progress. Every time I got on the phone with the bank or like a phone company or someone who, big corporation where you had to communicate, prickly biatch would show up absolutely in that. And thank you for sharing my pain there. You have a feeling you would like prickly biatch. Yeah, she's kind of fun. She's not a pushover, and she's not afraid to say what's on her mind, good or bad. But I've come a long way. She's not quite as unleashed as she used to be, but that doesn't mean this false personality hasn't gone away. It just means it's a little bit more controlled, maybe a little bit more suppressed too. So I really have to work at letting that go. And so yeah, prickly biatch was out, and I started to aim it at Garrett, poor guy. Luckily, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything to him. I just asked a few gentle questions, and then I'm like, okay, I got to let this thing go. I let it go enough so that I had a sigh of relief and clarity came back into my head, and things started to add up about what he's saying and how the nickel toxicity does actually apply to me. I went on just half the amount of nickel, or reducing half of the nickel foods in my daily diet, and I started to dump nickel. Damn it. Because I'm used to not really dumping anymore. If anybody doesn't know what that means, but like when toxins come out into your bloodstream and start to affect you, it can be a little headache, can be a little gut stuff, it can be skin stuff, and especially with nickel, skin stuff is true. So yeah, then I got kind of dismayed. lots of jewelry, like everything metal in the world. This is another reason my prickly biatch came up so much, is because the whole world has metal. Like, I of course I wear earrings. What are they? Stainless steel. There's a portion of nickel in there. I wear a necklace. I haven't lost my vanity yet, you guys. I still want to come on and dress up a little bit for you. And the chain's going to have some nickel in it, almost guaranteed. There is zinc jewelry out there, and it's considered a cheap metal. And I do react to it because I'm very sensitive to zinc. But that could be a way to go also. I keep praying for somebody out there, the jewelry makers, to take zinc as a metal rather than the stainless steel. And you think they can all handle prickly biatch at times. For you, it's when people wear fragrances, as you're sensitive to it. Yeah, I think I've come a long way on that one. I used to say to a guy in particular, I would say, I'm allergic to your perfume. That's a nice thing to say to a man. It's like, grabbing at his masculinity. How is it even possible that men became so indoctrinated to wear perfumes? That's a girly thing. I'm not saying girls should do it, or that's good that girls do it, but that is a girly thing. So somehow they made them want those scents on their body. And yeah, so I can get prickly biatch. Luckily, that stuff doesn't make me full on sick right away anymore. And I can tolerate it, and I can at least, just not say mean things like that. And have my adult son make me a pasta necklace. Yeah. You'll have to give me more context there, Lisa. I'm not sure what that's. A pasta. Sounds sticky. Yeah. So there are things, right? And it's almost like life is constantly going to test you, because if we think we're here to have everything just go our way, it's not the truth of it. Or if you think your spiritual life is about having what you want, that's the goal, that's not the truth either. Although you can do that. And it does work for people. You see, a lot of people do use their spiritual work in order to manifest. And so you can do that, but it is a kind of empty path, because the fact is that as you now, maybe you have to do it enough to get what you want, so that you could be disillusioned by having what you want. Or you could get to a place where you have enough of what you want, or you have what you need and some of what you want, and you see through that. You see the disillusionment. I talked about this on our trip to Florida, how we had all of these really grand entertainment things around us, Universal Studios and Disney and Busch Gardens, and there's a bunch more, SeaWorld and everything like that. They are fantastic. They're amazing. But I know for a fact I'm going to leave from those venues feeling empty. And then I just went and spent a whole bunch of money to feel empty. And so I am quite disillusioned by the world. That doesn't mean that you should be that's an evolution where you start seeing everything I think I'm going to get out of that. I don't get it. Even things like family reunions, I would go, oh, internally I think, oh, I'm going to get some love. Well, you get there and it's not really like that. It's not exactly like that. And I would leave empty. So, and Audrey said, when my mama bear gets poked, prickly biatch will show up. Yeah, that's good timing for prickly biatch. Exactly. Yeah, Mama Bear, you got to protect those babies. Hold on to your kids. I just heard in Canada, quick aside here, that this is not new. It's an ongoing thing that they're trying to get children out of their parents' control. So there's a new, is it a new legislation? Darn it, I should plan to say these things because I'd have to find it for you guys on Instagram, but it's just next level, where they're saying that the parents really, not only do they not have rights, but that it is an abuse to indoctrinate them with your values and your morals. That's abusing children. Come on. Like, would our world be better off if parents didn't indoctrinate with some morals and guidelines, for better, for worse, of course, right? Everybody's going to have their own thing. I fed my kid poison. Darn it, I didn't want to do that. That wasn't my intention. It's not what I thought I was doing by any means, but we do it. So, disillusioned with the world to very challenging, to navigate through. That is very disillusionment. It's pain, right? It's one of the things that we tend to hold on to. Go figure. We're attached to it. And hello, Michelle Ellers. Nice to see you. No, Michael. Micah, I called you Michelle. There you go. Nice to see you, Micah. Awakening begins when a man realizes he is going nowhere and does not know where to go. There you go. Yeah, great quote. Great quote. I've been touching down with a lot of those experiences these days, thanks to you. If you don't know, by the way, Micah has been joining me in the House of Free Will, some amazing snippets. Plus, he was on the last Beth of Fresh Air. And we also put together a workshop for House of Free Will members that we decided it was too good. And we didn't want to just hold it for ourselves. So we're giving this as a gift. I'm going to share this link in the chat. It's a workshop called From Confusion to Clarity. The truth of, I won't get the tagline offhand, but you can sign up for this and you get the workshop for free. And you also get one of our private House of Free Will snippets for free, because those are normally behind our, or in our private site. And it was also a good one leading up to the workshop. So then you can sign up for that with your name and your email and get instant access to watching. And we also put a course together for people to go even deeper with that. So thanks for being here, Micah, to remind me to say that. And what specify what poison did I feed my kid? Oh my goodness, everything. Eggs. I tried milk. He didn't like milk. Fascinating. He didn't really like cheese. Fascinating, right? Both very high vitamin A foods. Got some other problems in there. But I made him eat a lot of vegetables, so tons of copper. I made him eat avocados. I made him eat leaves. He always said, "Mama, don't make me eat the leaves." So I thought that greens were something to live on, that you could actually live on it, period. I just had this idea. Why? Because they made me high on copper. And so I made him eat some leaves, never gobs and gobs of them, but I made him drink leaf juice, which was made of cilantro and parsley and lettuce and tiny bit of apple and lemon to make it not taste so hideous. And it tastes hideous for a reason. So I stuffed a lot of green juice down his gullet. And what else? Many, many things. Whole grains when he was a baby. Bad idea. Really bad idea. Don't give whole grains to babies or toddlers. That really sucked. So I was going with what I thought were my instincts, but it was really indoctrination. And that's great to hear, Michelle. I'm glad you're enjoying the series with us. That was super fun. And the From Confusion to Clarity is specifically on the false personalities that Gurdjieff has written about and talked about and considers to be our obstacles to any kind of freedom in this leaf juice. I know, how dare me. Yeah, that really is, oh man, if I could take all that back. He did end up with some problems, but very, very minimal, because he didn't have any of the other bigger problems in the pharma world, luckily. And this information is fantastic food for thoughts and gardening for our souls. Yes, it really is, indeed. Good to have food. And good to be food. That's a whole other subject. Gurdjieff inside joke there. So we hold on to the resentments. We hold on to being right when you might be wrong, but you might be right. And but the being right is a feeling. It's kind of pride. I tend to hold on to that. And I imagine everyone can relate to that in the food world. I always thought I was right, no matter what I was doing, until say like the last, especially maybe 6, 7 years, where I have accumulated enough toxicity in my life. My body's, going to express that, and there were some breakdowns and some things, and then it's like, what's going on? So I became much less sure about being right, and then was always grateful not to have given any advice around that. Eliza said you looked up the Bach affirmation side of the beach from Bach Flower Remedy. Botch, is it beach? And it says, my reactions are soothed through understanding. You suppose one could try that. Nice. I believe Gurdjieff says that understanding is, what would you say, Micah, if you're still there? Is it like the highest state, if there is a state of understanding? How would he word that so I don't butcher it? What else do we get attached to? I'll talk to before that. We hold on to our injuries. There can be many reasons why you would hold on to an injury. It can be, say, a source of being able to virtue signal that if you are injured and then everybody sees your injury and then they feel sorry for you, they feel bad for you, maybe they do things for you, maybe they cut you some slack and don't, you don't have as many responsibilities if you have this ongoing kind of injury. And that can be physical. It can also be, of course, mental, emotional. And there you go. I like those words, that understanding is the strongest force you can generate. How beautiful is that? I'm glad I held out for the real words from Gurdjieff there. That's beautiful. Yep, that's a very strong force indeed. And so we also, in the same vein, we tend to get attached to victimhood. Doesn't mean that people haven't been victimized. Victimization has been victimized or has been weaponized, is what I meant to say, against us. So people would say like, oh, don't be a victim when sorry, my distiller, it'll get real quiet now. First they injure you and then they say, oh, don't be a victim, like this. I saw that exact thing. There was a yoga teacher who, she had a thing for Mexico and she had a thing for a guy in Mexico. And she also had a studio here in Winnipeg. And one day she had a lot of students. She was very popular. Her studio was very busy. And so she had a lot of people paying in advance for packages of classes. And then one day she went, oh, all this gobs of money, I'm going to Mexico. And she just like fucked off. She was out of there and left a lot of people hanging and wondering, and what's going on about that. And one of my friends got very, very badly burned because she was a teacher. She worked in that studio and she lost a bunch of money to this as well. And then that very same person, when they reconnected and she was trying to get her money back, she's like, oh, don't be a victim like this. Don't be a victim. You're just being victim. And it's like, ugh, gross, so. But nonetheless, we do tend to hold on to it. And that can be one of the ways we hold on to grief, pain, loss. People hold on to depression to the degree that they actually identify with it. This is a very big subject of from confusion to clarity. It's the identification with things that are actually states that are in a state of flux. They're changing. They're modulating, they are making chords, literally like two strings on an instrument actually resonate with each other to make a new sound. And so we have all of this kind of stuff going on in our life, and it's not, the purpose is not to identify ourselves with that, but we do it because we have this power. Is it a power, Micah, of identification? I think it's a power. It's a very strong power, or is it maybe just working against us? I might still be a little bit thinking that through in my mind. But that's what has people say that I am depressed, right? They're literally saying I am a feeling of depression. And this is one of the things that attracted me to Drew yesterday. He said, "Oh man, could I get a quote? How fast could I get it? Hold on a second, you guys." Yeah, okay. So this is direct from Drew Coover. This is one of the reasons I love him. He says, "Fuck your feelings. We're all in some sort of suffering." Right. So this is probably these times are going to teach us a lot about that attachment and identification with feelings. I think a lot more people are going to get more lucid about that. And working against identification generates power. Yeah. So identification itself is not considered a power, but working against it is. So thank you for that. People get attached the same way that they do to depression, to their anxiety. Very common. You go to the doctor, they're like, "Do you want anxiety medication or depression medication?" It doesn't matter if you even don't have either of those, but you're going to get that because he's already identified you with that medicine, so-called. What else do we attach to? Stories that don't work in our favor. So keep an eye out for this. Stories that you tell over and over again. And what do we want to do when you have a bad experience, when you have a trauma, when you have even an annoyance? What do you want to go do is tell the story of it. And say this is a very extreme example. Women who have some terrible, awful birth experience in the hospital, or even with midwives, you can also have terrible experiences. It can be horrendous. And then what do they do after that generally? Because I've got a lot of people that I know in the birth world, doulas and very alternative people. These women, they tell their story over and over and over and over and over. When I was pregnant with my son, all of the women in my family who had traumatic births, which was all of them because they were all medical births and gory, awful. It's amazing anybody survived it at all. Well, when I'm pregnant, they want to tell me all those stories. So I did a lot of like, la, 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 going on. Like I'm literally creating as much inner noise as I can to block all of their words and get out of the conversation as fast as I can. Because first of all, they're not using those stories as a way to explore and know themselves and find the injury and heal. They're using it as a way to, number one, make sure that it's not just them who have misery. This is unconscious. They wouldn't know they're doing this, but they want to share the misery. They want there to be, oneness at the level of that suffering. They want you to be scared. They want you to be terrified of all of those awful experiences, and to want to be in the medical system at the same time. So that's a real mind fuck, all right there. And those stories, they don't work in your favor. Every time you tell them, you are establishing it more and more and more. I was joking around. I was, mildly traumatized by my last vacation. Wish me luck on this one. You guys heard it. I said it. I can't take it back. I never did tell the story almost to anyone, especially not in entirety, because it had quite a volume of content. And then I just decided, there were two closer friends that I started to tell about it, and I couldn't even get it out. There was just too much. We'd have to sit down for 5 hours. I'd have to go with a fine-tooth comb through all of these little weird things, and good things, of course, that happened too. But and then I just decided I'm not going to tell that story. I'm not going to keep it alive in my own mind. Never mind, bring it alive for others. And guess what happened over some time? I let my shit go. I dropped it. Right? I came to a new place. So if I'd been out there sharing this story, creating a picture for people, because this is what happens when you share stories, is you create a still picture for someone else. They're going to lock it in time. They're going to take you on your word if they do. They're going to make it like it's a real thing in time and space. And then if you're over it and you drop it 5 minutes later, then Too bad. They're still holding a reality in mind that's not even in your favor. So this was a fun thing to do, like literally just do the healing work and not have to go and tell a bunch of stories about it. And the stories are all something like I'm right and I'm the good one, and someone else might be the bad one. And in the end, it's just so much fiction and so many programs, and I let it go. So yeah, you don't need to. If you listen for that. What stories do you need to tell over and over? It's a sign. We also hold on with a death grip to resistance. The reason is that this relates back to the nickel stuff. That how to say this? Why do we hold on to it? Does anyone want to take a guess? Why do we hold on to resistance? And we'll have a moment from our sponsor in the meantime. I have to start paying Michelle. She says, please like, share, and sub the channel. I would appreciate that. That'd be awesome. Sometimes it's even, I have to hold my head when I go and ask Drew for an interview, and I'm a little shadow banned out there. And I thought maybe I do have people refuse interviews because I'm too little for their time or whatever it is, and I understand. I'm not even resentful about that, but so any help you guys can be is always of great fortune. And I'll just start by saying holding on to resistance makes no sense at all. And good, quietly content. Barry got some answers here, so I don't have to just tell you. And she said, you hold on because you think it serves a purpose and protects you somehow. There you go. You're nailing it, right? That first of all, resistance tends to be mostly unconscious until you bring any awareness to it. It is an unconscious program, resistance. It's not just a word. It's not just a feeling like an emotion. It's a whole program. And it's designed to basically say, no, get away. You're not me. I'm resisting. I'm going to put all my might into resisting. And it's one of the bigger forms of suffering that we can encounter, one of the big four, actually. And this is exactly the reason that unconsciously, internally, it's registered that it's protecting you and that it has a purpose, right? As soon as you come up against something frightening and then you put your hand no to it, and then it appears that the programming is protecting you from that frightening thing. But actually, in reality, programs don't protect you from anything. That's you and your conscious awareness are the protective force, right? That has a source that wouldn't exist without its source. So ultimately, that is the protecting force. It's the programs actually put you in danger. So attachment to them makes no sense. Eliza said, holding on to resistance is easier than the unknown. Yes, absolutely. We love the pain that we already know, the suffering that's already familiar, that's already embedded. That seems safer than going into some good new place. And Heather Dobson is here. Nice to see you. It's somewhat complicatedly comfortable. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Complicatedly comfortable. That's a good name for something. You should write that down. And interesting about rewriting it. I don't really ascribe to the rewriting exactly, but it might be because I'm undeveloped in that area. But my experience is you don't need to actually rewrite much of anything, or that's happening just by matter of nature. Once enough programming is not consuming all your energy anymore. But I'm always open to learning because I've keep finding things I need to learn. Why not? And then the last thing on the list of what we hold on to is the false personalities. Yeah. Another way to say, rewrite your attitude. I totally get it. Like, make a decision to have a different attitude, make a decision to drop it. And yet still, you can get to that place where you've decided you're going to drop it and you don't. So Yeah, we don't like change. Rebels like change. They're one of the few, but they tend to favor, say, an unconscious rebel would tend to favor more like the prickly biatch kind of change, or not clean change where you're just going to suffer the unknown and go bravely forward into something that you haven't planned for exactly yet because you don't know what it is. But yeah, change is for most people like trying to kill them if they manage it. That's one of the beauties of the Love Your Liver thing is that you have to make a lot of changes to your diet, to your lifestyle, to your way of thinking. You have to add a lot of knowledge, and that starts to add up after a while. Every time, I thought, oh, I'm never going to let go of eating avocados. I love those things, and I remember the day when I came up to them in the store, and then I just kept walking. And I'm like, yeah, wow, I'm not addicted to avocados anymore. Amazing. And, lot of stuff. I still have things that I'm working on, but you get a power and you get a certain kind of foundation in yourself where you're able to go through a change and not die. You're working on changing your injuries around language around your injuries. Good for you. That's amazing. And previous illnesses, exactly. And I had $7 extra to boo. You are very quick-witted, Elise. You're gonna have to spell that out for me. $7 extra. Yeah, spell it out for me. She's smarty pants. And yeah, so if you manage to get past that place of resisting, which by the way can be synonymous with analyzing, because we resist with a thinking pattern, we resist with loops in our mind, we resist with trying to figure it out. Those that's actually one program, trying to figure it out, and resistance, exactly the same. Now you have to study it and you have to observe it. You have to see the mechanism in play. You can't think about the mechanism. You can't think about some other time when the mechanism was running. You have to be clear and honest with yourself right now in this moment. Oh, $7 extra. There you go. Yeah, they're 10. But you're right about 7 in Canadian or in American. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate that. You heard yesterday there is an avocado mafia. Interesting. What the heck is that, Heather? Never heard of that. What does that mean? People for or against? Might be for. And so, yeah, we literally use the programs in order to hold on. Now, it could be said we're holding on to the programs or here's a mistake that people make is that they feel like when they can't have breakthroughs and they can't have a new experience because of something, then they will have the sense that the pattern is holding on to them, or they'll have anxiety or depression and they feel like it's holding on to them. It won't just go. And if you can hear in the language of that how that plays out, it's imbuing the programming or the feelings or thought pattern or pattern of their life. It's imbuing it with consciousness, with awareness, with volition, with the ability to choose and decide. There I am holding on to her. I like her. I'm resistance. I'm going to, not letting go. Nope. She's mine. Keep it. She's a keeper. So it doesn't work like that. And yet it feels to work like that, which is fascinating to observe how our relationship to our inner life is very upside down, and how we have lost our agency and our ability to see that, actually, I'm running the show, I'm running the program, and it's me. That program is not holding on. It doesn't have any will or power or force to hold on. It's me that's holding on. I'm just not aware of it. Could I do the work to become aware, to feel the pain of me holding on to my own pain and my own suffering? And this is once you get into this place, then you're in a position to actually drop it. Now, it won't drop itself. It won't, it's not like that. There has to be an internal decision. Now, having said that, as you gain momentum and you warm that process up in yourself, then sometimes the seeing of something with a soft, warm, loving eye that I'm often saying in my coaching world, then that can dissolve, right? I had it happen for a client the other day that they just were able to go from hating and resisting an inner experience to being loving and kind with it and allowing it. And it just was poof, gone. So when they say love conquers all and changes everything, it's absolutely true. And, in charge of avocado pricing. Okay, interesting. Yes, those crazy things. Right. Yeah, they are very, very expensive. It's drug and human traffickers that mostly sell avocados. So great not to be part of that anymore. Okay, wow. Yeah, because avocados are addictive. People love them. They're like a specialty or a, what do you call it, kind of gourmet, even though it was my daily staple at a time, but it's still considered a bit gourmet. And yep, she's a keeper. So that's, it's basically, we've been indoctrinated that life should go our way, that we should be comfortable. I'm going to talk about palliative care a little bit. I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say about this. This is something that Drew Coover interviewed a woman, Angelina, what's her name? Got my notes here. I took like 9 pages of notes talking to Drew. Anyway, Angelina something. I did share it on my Telegram King Hero chat. Anyway, I went and looked it up and I started watching. And then so she's the director of a palliative care foundation or association. And they were one of the few people that, I believe it's in Canada. I'm only halfway through the interview now. And they wanted to have a palliative care where they didn't kill people. How does that sound to you guys? Does that make some basic sense? My prickly biatch is getting kind of pissed at this, because what ended up happening in Canada is the very last hospital, and I believe it was St. Paul's, a Catholic hospital in BC, that didn't kill people. They didn't implement MAID because they're Catholic and they have a vow to not harm anybody. Then they wouldn't do it. And then what did the medical system came along, and it's kind of convoluted. I'm not going to tell the story. You know that story, Heather? Yeah, really sad. Like, so first of all, they shut them down on their funding. They said, if you're not going to offer MAID, we won't fund you anymore. And they're like, oh, okay, we don't need your money. We're doing good work here. We're doing God's work here. And then they got an eviction notice. The freaking patients in palliative care that were there got an eviction notice served to them. You're literally on your deathbed trying to end your life, and you get a freaking eviction notice. Oh my goodness. Just unbelievable. And then there was another hospital again. This is the Catholic hospital. That was the one that she ran. And what did they do to get around the loophole of the fact that they're a Catholic hospital and they won't do that? Is they came and they built on to the building what they're now referring to as, get my notes, this is so good. Angelina Ireland is her name. And they called it something pod. Okay, now I have to go to my Telegram. Darn it, I don't remember all these things. I need more MSG, you guys. Okay. What did they call it? Some very crazy slaughter pod, right? So they built on a place where and there's no signs in the hospital like what that is. There's a corporation's name, there's an affiliated corporation name on the door, and this is where they go and off people for MAID. That's how they got around this. So yeah, literally the I know, evicted from your deathbed, Michelle. Can you think of anything more, not just insulting but to life itself, to humanity itself? I know, unbelievable. Yeah, the government is not happy with anyone that doesn't want to offer the kill. Slaughter pod. Yep. So there you go. Just unreal. Yeah. Michelle said it sounds like the goal of MAID is to bypass palliative care. Bingo. That's exactly it. Because why people live out, sometimes they live. I actually was a musician. One of my first gigs after surviving cancer is I got myself hired by an organization that sends musicians into hospitals to play and sing, or to entertain them while they're dying or they're whatever. And I worked in palliative care quite a bit. It was traumatic, I have to tell you. There were times I would leave there with a major migraine, or I would. It was an intense gig, I have to say. Sitting there, like, unreal and beautiful at the same time, that people were there and that I could offer something. Now they want to bypass palliative care. It can go on and on. You don't when you get diagnosed with something terminal, you don't know how long your life is. You really don't. It could be a week, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, could be longer. Life is like that. We're not in charge of that part, that it comes and goes. And so they can't even really plan how long is somebody going to be in palliative care using the drugs, using this. Now, this is the point that I want to bring up here. I'm so curious to hear what you guys think of this, is that now in palliative care, what is their tool of comforting people? I kind of just said it, right? What is their number one thing? Of course, they use like human kindness, and they feed people, and they get to eat, and they have a comfortable environment. It's a little bit more like a hotel in there, actually, where you're going for a luxury stay. Why not? But the main thing that they use to comfort people are drugs. Drugs get you out of your pain, out of your misery. And there's something now. Would I have told my mother on her deathbed, "Don't take the drugs, Mom," or "Stop taking those drugs. What are you doing?" I wouldn't have told her. I can't tell her. And by the time she's on the drugs, she's not qualified to decide whether she's going on the drugs or not. So this becomes a perpetual. Most people in palliative care are drugged to the nines with drugs they would never even give other people, like fentanyl, for example. I remember when they put my mom on fentanyl, I'm like, she's done. It's over. They don't prescribe fentanyl. Unless you're a kid in BC and you're going, this is a whole other thing. This is Drew's story. That's a whole other thing. But they're dying on all those drugs. Yes, it relieves some of the physical suffering. I've been on those drugs. I've been in the hospital. I've been on morphine, and it doesn't actually take the pain away. It just gives you a state. It's like a much louder state. The pain's still there, but it gives you this. It's kind of like snowhead, like you got a TV at late at night when that used to happen, and it's on your head, and it's doing this. It's just creating a very loud signal, I think. It's obviously there's mechanisms that it's maybe, I don't know, shorting out your nerves or whatever, filling up receptors that otherwise would be full pain. I don't know. I'm talking to my ass right now, but so these people all die in their drugged out state. Now, here's the thing, that we are allergic to not only our bad feelings, but we're allergic to our good feelings. And the bad feelings, we're very, very quick to want to get away. We want to cheer ourselves up. If a friend tells you they're not feeling good, and you're like, "Oh, well, I can cheer you up. I'll make you happy. I'll tell you a joke," or I'll say that you look beautiful and tell you a compliment and make you feel high about yourself or something like that. We're all about the painkillers here. If you've taken painkillers, you know there is a lot of limitations in them. They work for a time, and then you need more of them to create more noise or whatever mechanism is going on there in order to drown out the pain. And then it starts to eat away your stomach, and it starts to poison you, and it starts to injure you to a degree. Then you really need the painkillers, but they don't work for you. And so what this actually ends up doing on the whole as a society is it's taking out what Gurdjieff calls friction. It's taking out the suffering. It's taking out our awareness of the suffering. It actually doesn't take out the suffering. It just takes our awareness, so we no longer can access it. We no longer can work with it. And we no longer can drop it. You can't drop what you can't feel. So that makes what I feel to be otherwise could be probably one of the most important times of your life is your deathbed. That's when a lot of clarity comes forward. I know I thought I was there. And you see in Technicolor, and your life does flash before your eyes, and you get a life review, and you see where you would have wanted things to be different. And if you get another chance, you're probably going to start working on that, things being different. So you take the suffering out of death, and they can't use that for their evolution, for their growth, for the greater freedom that they could have. Because, death, again, it's a truth-telling time. I know my mom spouted all kinds of things at us that she might not have never said. But because she's on her way out, she doesn't have to deal with the fallout of that. Or, I don't know what her thinking was. She just didn't, now's the time to tell them these things, some good, some bad. And so I think there's something, as much as I think it's awful what they're doing, killing people with MAID obviously is also taking the friction out of dying, it's taking the suffering out of that. And that's exactly their sell. They had to sell it to people. You can suffer less and go and off yourself, and it's going to be nice and peaceful for everyone except you, right? They know that now. The drugs are not actually a peaceful death. They're a quiet death because you're paralyzed and you can't respond and you can't react. I was actually having a weird imagination that somehow I'm dying on those drugs and it doesn't work on me. The paralysis part, and I'm going to be the truth teller to the end, and it actually didn't shut me up. But I'm not going that direction. Yep, you got it. I know. That's crazy work. Liza said the government is definitely trying to wake people up with this stuff, and people are still sleepwalking through. But yeah, do you see how it brings up my Can't Win program? Because you want the palliative care. That is a humane thing. This was a development in society, in a culture where they didn't just slough dead people off or have them in the mix with all of the people that are recovering, compared to dying, say, in hospitals or a lot of those things. But there's something just really, really weird that makes, when it comes to the death process, nobody knows what you're going to do. I have no idea. I won't make any claim. I can't say what I'm going to do. But yes, if I can manage to die without the drugs, I managed to birth without drugs, meaning I had my son with zero pain medication, which I think would have been stupid. Contractions come and go. That means the pain came and it went, and it came and it went, and it came and it went. Painkillers don't work on that stuff. That's why they have to actually give you an epidural right in the spine and cause your whole spine to become numb. That's why these pains, they come and go. Life is a labor like that. It's a very good parallel. and then it's over and you have a baby and you got through that awake and lucid. And I'm not bragging, I'm just saying it can be done. So yeah, and it makes you an absolute zombie. So that's a time to clean up unfinished business. It's a time to maybe might be an apology or two you want to say to clear your conscience before you go. It might be some love expressed that hadn't been expressed. But if you're a zombie, you actually can't, you have no faculties. You can't come up with that. I'm amazed my mom could, in fact, bust through with some truth telling, even from all of that. That was miraculous. Imagine what she would have said if she was lucid. Who knows? Now, I could never decide that for her or anyone. But, the painkillers run people's livers and kidneys down. Exactly. So, and then that helps to shorten the lifespan so they can rush into the MAID process. Oh my goodness. Unreal. Yeah. What a savings to just off them. I'd like to see the books on that personally, what they're saving. It's such a highly nuanced mind fuck, this one. I don't know. Follow the money and ask who ultimately profits from this, monetarily speaking. Eat or be eaten comes to mind. Yeah, sheep being led to the slaughter. Indeed. Yeah, it's Logan's Run, right? Did you ever see that movie? I saw that movie when I was a child. I was terrified of that movie, that there was like, oh, it's my time to die. I'm just going to go in that weird thing on the high bubble place. I don't remember it anymore. Hello, Jillian. Nice to have you here. Just jumping on and catching on double speed. Hope you haven't missed most. Good to be here. Good to have you here. Fantastic. I admire that, people who can listen double. I have to slow it down to half to really get stuff, especially Gurdjieff. I was bragging on the House of Free Will forum today that I am now, I think I'm about some like 37 minutes from being finished a 48-hour book. Yeah, exactly 37 minutes from being finished a 48-hour book. The book is called Beelzebub's Tales to His Grandson. It's also called All and Everything. It's not a little read. If I will, I'm going to buy the book and have the pages so I can go and really carefully do everything. But that's, having gone through nearly 48 hours of that book doesn't mean that I understand it. I got some stuff though. I did get some really important stuff. My favorite quote so far, and I actually told this to Drew yesterday, is that the faith of consciousness is freedom. That's faith of consciousness, 5 words, is freedom. Those are the 5 most powerful words. And I just stuck with it. It's so interesting, and it is it's deep beyond belief. It blows my mind, which is great. I like that effect a lot. And Heather said a news story in Manitoba. Apparently, a municipal government voted 4-2 in favor of opening a quarry, which would in turn disrupt an established bear rescue facility, all while the bear rescue place is focused on nursing 3 cubs recently orphaned by a purposeful shooting of their mother by some jerk who shot and killed her. What are the priorities of this local government? Hundreds of people showed up to the municipal meeting to protest the vote to allow for the quarry. I'll have to look that up. It's nice that they rescued the babies, but are you making the point that there's, a lot more important things? We're in triage now, right? Like what's actually real and important has not really come forward into any official awareness, that's for sure. But so we have this mechanistic way of being that causes us to hold on to both pain and pleasure. We don't want the pleasure to end. We keep the pain for all the reasons we talked about. And the suppression actually adds power to it. And, what does it mean to actually allow something to move through is somehow, somewhat indescribable. Michelle is sharing Beelzebub's tales to his grandson. If that word Beelzebub turns you off, you're not supposed to, or it's supposed to turn you off, just so you know. It's really fun. It's really fun. And you have to make it all the way to nearly the very end to get any understanding of why he's not why he's used Beelzebub. I have to talk to Micah about this and debrief more, but you get more insight into that. But he literally wanted people to be turned off his work so that the wrong people didn't come to it, which I do get. And no one allowed to speak. Where is democracy? Who speaks for the wildlife? Yep. Yep, indeed. Yeah, all the issues ongoing. Lots of suffering. So, yeah, what does it mean to let something just move through you? What do you guys think? Do you want to chime in here? What would that mean? Say, if you had a bad experience, you had a state of mind, you had anxiety, depression, you had fear, which is anxiety, you're angry, prickly biatch. So what does it mean to have something just move through you? What does it mean to drop it? Do we know? So I'm a geek in this arena and I like to geek out. We just finished the Creator Code course, seriously geeked out in that course. I went into every nook and cranny that called me to unpack to the degree that it could be unpacked. And there's still mysteries. I won't claim by any means. And I'm not sure, just to be fair in advance, I'm not sure, what does it mean to drop it? I can literally be of two minds. Three, probably more than three. I have a few personalities going on here. Elisa said, you tried to figure out where you played the role to open the door to the outcome. Nice. Yeah, that can be very, very useful if you use that as a way to then bring up the program that had you play the role. Because if you just figure it out, then you didn't get anything. And this is a very big point, that if people will think, oh, I figured it out. This is why GNM is so popular and why I think it's fake and gay. It's because it literally preys on that mechanism, the program that tells you to figure it out. So you think if you figured it out, that you got it, right? We covered this back a few episodes where people love their diagnoses, because as if you figured it out because you gave it a name and it has, some kind of reliable expression that other people could be identified by this name. And then you feel good and you feel happy, but you feel good and happy for about 5 minutes, or maybe you make it last longer because you attach to a good feeling, but you've got nothing. And you definitely didn't drop it. So I'm not picking on you, Elisa, even though it sounds like it. But there's a goodness. If you use that, oh yeah, like where did I first feel that? How did I cause this? That's the brilliance of Lester Levinson, who no matter what happened to him in his life, he would say, how did I cause it? Right? Even if it was a loss to him, an injury to him, a crime against him, he would ask this very powerful question, how did I cause this? And it's not arguing about reality that he caused it or that someone else didn't ram into him with their car. For example, after a car accident, is kind of a famous story that he tells. He's not arguing with reality. This is technique. This is, how do I take some power back into my own system by saying I did it? And then he would say, go and figure out, where was the seed of doing it? I'll use the car example as a possibility. He went back in his mind and he had the idea that his car needed to be written off, that he needed a new car. And then the next day, he gets in this accident and he jumps out of his car and he runs to the woman who hit him. And he's going like, I did it. Because he right away traced it to the thought that he needed to write off his car, And then what does that give you if you are able to see and release and drop that program that caused you to have that thought that wasn't exactly the most strategic thing, right? That it's kind of like, it could have been a fatal accident for one or the other or both. And so then if you go and you undo the programming that generated the thought in the first place, then you don't have to continue with that pattern that has been set in play by investing in that thought. So You love Lester Levinson, Yvette. Nice, nice. Yes, I quite often go back and listen to some of his stuff, and I studied with his students, and I certified in that coaching that he never created. That was his students that created that style of coaching, and I've done my own things with it as well. Being able to let go is traveling lightly. Yes, that is the result of that Lunarverse. Exactly. Much greater lightness in your being. Sometimes unbearable lightness. Do you guys know that book? Who was the author of that? The Unbearable Lightness of Being. I remember reading that when I was young and identifying with it. Michelle said programs are interesting, especially when you catch them in action internally and externally. Indeed. Like I said, I have not seen GNM work for anyone, but I've seen it enable many false personalities. Thank you for saying that. Exactly. I have had people come into my work, and sometimes people will come in and they'll just rock star it because they've got that personality that is maybe the straight A student or the type A personality. So they work at it, and they do the work, and they they show up and they grind and they do the work, and then they get it. And then what's next from there is going deeper. That's when they bail. It's like, oh no. And then one of my prize students, I was actually, I don't often chase after people, say to apprentice them or anything like that. She was somebody that I recognized had a great deal of potential. And what did she do? She bailed for GNM. God bless her. I love you if you're hearing this. But and why GNM? Because it's easy. Because it takes no work. There will be no friction. All you have to do is follow a program. Now, you'll be disillusioned by that sooner or later too. And you'll have to go and find something real and true rather than fake and gay. So thank you for saying that so succinctly, Micah. I appreciate it. Michelle said, feelings and programs are strongly linked to programming. Reminds you a bit of a Project Mockingbird caught in the media, meant to trigger fear porn. Seems to be their main go-to. Indeed. I never did see Project Mockingbird. Is that a movie? No, that was a project. I'm not very good at my conspiracy theories. Lisa said, you appreciate my insight to then delete the program that you drew down the path in the first place. There you go. Yep, that closes that loop. Radical responsibility. You got it. Quietly contented bear. And that's a tool. It's not the reality. It's a technique, and it works. And it was also a movie. Okay, good. Thank you. A pop culture moron over here. And there's sometimes I'll give that instruction to literally once you recognize something, you can feel it, you're allowing it to be there rather than resisting it. Then sometimes all you have to apply is awareness. That means doing nothing but being alert and allowing the energy of thoughts, feelings, programs to just move through your awareness. And if you sit and you watch them, they will be gone. They will move all the way through, as long as you're not attaching to them and holding on. And Beth of Fresh Air 13 is on deprogramming. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that. Yeah, you can go back and get a lot more details there. And you can... there's a lot of different ways to get a taste. If you happen to be new to my work, there's a lot of different ways to get a taste of it. This is often what I recommend first, is doing a King Hero archetype quiz. And in 5 minutes, you can find out where some work, you might benefit from some work where there's a concentration of energy, concentration of potentially lost energy that you can recognize the patterns of. The archetype helps you to see that it is a pattern. It's a dynamic. It's a thing, not only in you, but in other people across time, across the world. And so the quiz helps you sort some things out. I often get good feedback about that. That's why it's still up. You can redo the quiz. You just have to put your hand up to let me know you want a link to that, because my system won't let you sign up twice. And observe but not absorb. Yeah, observe but not get involved. Say from what Mike has contributed: observe but not identify, not attach, not have what's called attachment and aversion. Because if you have an aversion to it, it's just like attachment. It's the same. It's just going in a different direction, but it's exactly the same programming. And that's what creates a lot of inner conflict. So yeah, if you can allow something to move through your awareness without telling a story, without explaining yourself, without describing things, without justifying why you feel like that and why everybody thinks you should feel like that, and being brave because you're literally letting part of what you feel to be yourself go. That's terrifying. For most people, that's out of the question. Like absolutely impossible. I lost a friend over this. When I was new to the release coaching, I was at an event and I ran into my friend, and then apparently she'd been having heart trouble. Hadn't seen her for a while. She's a doctor, so completely indoctrinated in the medical system. And I said, well, hey, do you want to try this tool that I've been using and having good success with? So she managed to bring up her fear of dying of this heart condition. And she started to shake and cry. And she's like, what now? What now? What now? And then she couldn't take the next step. She let herself just distract. She was right on the precipice of a breakthrough in that moment. And she let herself, distract away. I never heard from her again. I now represent that really awful, terrible feeling that she had. And then, so that's, most people are going to be like that. You have to have a strong inner resolve, a strong desire for freedom, and some support. Without some support, without people in your world. That's why I created the House of Free Will, so I could have people around me that I can say this kind of thing to, and that they might reflect it back to me. They might be interested in taking up the work themselves, which many of them have and do. And then we create a container where there's a lot more support for what otherwise the world is never going to support, because they don't know that. They're just literally not there. So yes, observing without getting involved, and the willingness to go somewhere you haven't been before. Again, meeting the unknown. The freedom is unknown. Freedom is the biggest fear of everybody. You don't have to believe that, but you can definitely see it for yourself. Jillian is still behind, letting go. Really interesting to watch. She says, my body just got completely off alcohol. Amazing. Congratulations for when you hear this a little bit later, Jillian. That's incredible. Your body refused to be poisoned anymore about 5.5 years ago. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Really good. Yeah, sometimes the poisons quit you. You don't have to quit the poison. That's a little bit like that for caffeine with me. Although now I can tolerate a teeny bit of caffeine. I don't have it anyway, but I can tolerate it. That's a sign of being less toxic. And yeah, that is fantastic. That's always a good. So yeah, it will, when you go to drop it, it's no little thing. The thing that you're going to drop that's inside yourself, it is going to fight for its life, especially if it's programming and it's by you been put in charge of basic survival, basic love, basic connection, basic control in your life. So those programs think that they are saving your life, or you unconsciously think they are. They act like they are. They act like an authority over you. Therefore, you don't have agency. It's not until you turn the tables and you become the caretaker. You become the one that gives the instructions. You become the one that can discriminate rather than leaving that to programming. It's still you, but it's filtered through a contortion and a mechanism and a structure that can be observed. This is not just an idea. This is directly observable. I don't do nearly anything that's an idea. I will entertain other people's ideas, like getting into Gurdjieff's work. Now there's a whole ton there that I can't I can't prove inside myself. I'm amazed when there is anything that it's like a really good match, and like, wow, I observed that, and here he is languaging something I observed. But yeah, our inner mechanisms are going to seem formidable. They will threaten you when you go to drop them. So you have to be prepared for that. That it'll go, oh no, no, you're going to die without me. You'll be nothing without me. No one will ever love you without me. You have to at least trial. You'll never get what you want. All of these kind of things. And it's trying to, now it's not trying to, but you're basically trying to distract yourself away from releasing and dropping that program. Now, if you're vulnerable and you're weak and you don't have a lot of necessarily strength built up in this arena to be able to take what I call poison arrows, they're literally, aiming at you, shooting at you high speed. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Like this. And you have to be able to, what we were talking about before, allow those things to move through you too. And they're intense. So this is amazing training for your nervous system. To me, it's the all-time best training for the apocalypse, because you get to have access to something called reality and clarity. False personalities are one of the biggest things that are in the way of clarity. And so again, this is a gift from Micah and myself. We did a workshop in the House of Free Will, and you can sign up for it for free here. You also get access to one of the snippets, so you can see what the private House of Free Will weekly snippets are going to be like. It was one of our better ones. It's a good one. There's a lot of snippets. So if you're looking for something to binge watch and listen to, I think I must be at 150 snippet episodes by now, around that numbers. So there are lots. Snippets tend to be shorter, although we broke that rule for Micah because we can't have a short conversation about Gurdjieff. It's just not possible. And so I think, maybe the last point that I'll make is how the system is actually rigged in your favor, that suffering is actually rigged in your favor because freedom depends on it. Freedom depends on having some friction, something to rub up against, something that makes you mad, something that causes you grief or discomfort, loss is built in. Everything is suffering, the Buddha said, and we actually need that to grow. Now, you don't need to go out and be a martyr and make yourself suffer. Life will do that for you, in case you hadn't noticed, right? Life will do that for you. There's no end of opportunities to have life cause you pain. So don't go looking for it. But when it comes, if you can see that it's actually your freedom in disguise, or at least hold that thought, a strong intellect might be able to hold that thought long enough to go through and withstand the pain of all of that. And you are very welcome, Jillian. I enjoy this very much. I enjoy your company. It wouldn't be the same without you guys, by the way, at all. This is Beth of Fresh Air. So yeah, we're not here to get what we want. We are here to get free. So who's in? Anyone down with the freedom program? It's not a program. Plan, I guess. I was going to let you guys know that if there's anybody out there that's not yet a member of the House of Free Will, you can use this link to apply. And Elisa's asking a question. So do you hold an image or a goal that you're working towards in your head with this work? Good question. Goals are definitely a good feature, a good technology for this work. Because when you reach for something, say, some of my students in the coaching world, they've got their certification, but they didn't yet build a coaching business. And then so they have that goal to have a thriving, maybe even lucrative coaching business. And they put that out in front of them as a way to bring the friction, because as soon as you have a goal that you don't have yet, that's important to you and that's maybe purposeful, then it's going to cause you to suffer. You're gonna feel the pain of not having that. You're going to have to anticipate the pain of the work it'll take you to get there. You're going to have to do things that are out of your comfort zone. You're going to probably have to learn something you don't know. You might have to humble yourself and go and ask for some help. along the way. And so all of that, if you, same thing as before, if you let that show you your own internal programming, and you let that go and you decide to drop them, which is not a one and done by any stretch of the imagination, just so you know, not to false advertise that one, then that goal is, you might get that goal. But I always teach people that the real goal of goals is freedom, that it's cause for so much inner work that you do end up gaining a lot of freedom in the process. So goals are very, very worthy. And Micah said, guilty. What are you guilty of? Something about the goals. Yep. Yeah. So goals are good. And then holding an image. This is interesting because I'm going to go on into a nuanced answer about that. And after doing Creator Code and studying a lot of Gurdjieff at the same time, Gurdjieff actually considers the imagination to be an obstacle. So I was thinking about this a lot last night, Eliza. Now, Lester Levinson said, if you can hold in mind what you want, you can get that. And he appealed to people's desire to manifest. I think he was doing that because he was trying to create some kind of an open door. You can't sell freedom. People are terrified of that. They don't want to feel anything, especially in his day when this was happening in the 1950s, when he was working with people himself. And so he would teach people that if you can hold something in mind, you can have it. Now, why don't we hold the good thing in mind is because we've got all this unconscious bad stuff going on in the programs to root them. But then here Gurdjieff says that it's actually an obstacle on the path. Now Gurdjieff is promoting a totally deeper level of the path than Lester was. Now I think Lester knew the truth of it, but he was trying to ease people in. It's possible. I don't know. I can only talk to him remotely. And so, yeah, the imagination. I know there's certain things I've imagined a lot that haven't come into play in my life. And by yesterday, I'm realizing, like, wow, I think I played it out. It happened so much in my imagination. It didn't need to happen in real life. It was done. I exhausted it in the imagination. So that's just one of my ideas right now that I'm throwing around. But I'd like to go deeper into that. So you have to be able to imagine it. But if you spend a lot of time in the imagination, you can get locked in there. And I think it just is a closed loop. It really doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, caffeine was the same 25 years ago. Your body won't tolerate caffeine anymore. Yeah, I think a lot of women end up going in that general direction because we stop detoxing with the menses. And then all of a sudden, that caffeine is like, dude, really? Yeah. And you still love the smell of fresh coffee. I know, it's unbelievable, passive coffee consumption. I'm pretty sure the smell of coffee is taking coffee in, right? Because it's all of the aldehydes in the smell are part of what we love about coffee. And then so if you can smell it, you're actually taking it in, but who knows to what degree. And I'm so glad you love these sessions. I also do. They're always very enlivening and beautiful. Elisa said, fascinating. It's probably true that we can quite literally imagine ourselves out of a goal, like watching a TV show or something. Exactly. And then we get addicted to the TV show. You get addicted to the imagination, and it becomes a substitution for real life. So, yeah. Well, my dears, I think we're getting to the end of what I want to talk about today. I do have, for anyone who's wanting to get their feet wet in this work, I created last year a starter course in deprogramming. I call it Deprogramming 101 because we should all learn this in kindergarten, but we don't. And so if you're interested, there's a link to more details. You can do that as an online course. You can do it also coupled up with personal sessions so you can move more quickly. People often do that. And no short convos on the snippets, Micah said. Yeah, exactly. I might have to rename it. It's called Snippets from Beth, but yeah, I even make long ones myself if I'm on my own. Been very blessed by Micah to be on these snippets. There's now 8 of them. Really beautiful conversations. Audrey said, sharing your first I can't even say that. False personalities with my daughters and vice versa is very freeing. And the trust and vulnerability leads to healing. That's beautiful. Yeah, you have a moment of Hello, JJ Hempcrete Bear. When you bring it into a moment of like sharing that, it's gotta be from a place of at least courage, right? Usually humor. When I saw Prickly Biatch and then I named her, and then what do I get out of that? I get a giggle. It's just kind of fun. And I ran and I told my friend Micah about my Prickly Biatch. You got a laugh out of that too. And so you go up into courage with it rather than in some of the lower, like, fear kind of place where you'd be more, I'm not going to show anyone. And you might be afraid of being embarrassed, or like you don't want anyone to see. Everybody sees, by the way, just so you know, everybody sees them often except you. So that's beautiful. You can play with that. It becomes an arena of play. And freedom can get more playful along the way, I notice also for that reason. And you just caught up as I'm finishing. Excellent. Good. Good timing. Nice to have JJ here. And yeah, very good. I'm glad you guys have been around. What was the last thing I was sharing about Deprogramming 101? This is also a starter course for people that they know that sacred purpose is the subject that they are needing to get into. I have one student who did this course 5 times already, and she continues to get more out of it. And she even did Creator Code, which I consider to be a very advanced version of the Find Your Sacred Purpose. It will also be available as an online course. I just need to take the time to switch it over into that. I'll be running that course again. And I want to make sure and let you guys know that if you book with me for a conversation about the Journey Code Coaching certification before April 30th, that's in 13 days now, then that would qualify you if you join, which is not, you're not obligated to join just because we talk. Please also don't take advantage of Beth's like having free phone calls and stuff like that. Just for the sake of time, it's, if you already know that you're not going to do this or do this now or do this ever, then maybe put that conversation off for a different time. That's not so timely. Because when I get home from Confluence, then I'll be getting on the phone with quite a few people who've already been booking with me. So it's a good time. If you're thinking about becoming a coach, that not only want to learn the tools of deprogramming, but you want to help people in that way. And you can do both at the same time, by the way. As long as you have yourself done work on yourself, that you have allowed yourself to feel, that you're not afraid to go into the unknown more than you want your freedom. Everybody's got the fear of that, but it's a matter of degree. So if you want freedom and you want to serve in a sacred and a purposeful way, then definitely reach out to me. Let me know. I won't put my email. I can put it this way just so it won't copy and paste, but I'll make spaces so that you guys know what my email is, so you can reach out that way. I also love to hear from people on Telegram. So to start out with Telegram, I'm going to send you a link to the Telegram chat. And this is where you can find me for a conversation. And so that's on Telegram. All roads lead to Rome. You can go to my website, bethmartins.com, and there's a place you can make a support ticket there as well. Reach out to me and let me know if you want to talk about that. Or if you just want to see all the details, you can go to my website, bethmartins.com, and you can pull that up. The savings that I'm offering right now are not published on that page. So the public doesn't know about those savings. This is just for you guys. This is just for the people that are, stick with me on my email list, or you're members of the House of Free Will, or you come to these podcasts and hang out, then the added savings are there for you. So it's substantial right now. You're very welcome, Jillian. So much love to you. All right, my dears. Well, anything else? I think we covered the subject for today. This is the Free Seeing series, by the way. It's an arc, so stay tuned for not next week, but the week following when I'm going to be back. That will be on the 30th, actually. Is that the Friday? Pretty close. No, I think that, let's see, what day is that? It's actually the 1st. So I won't see you guys until May 1st, unless there's a spontaneous show in between. And I love you guys a lot. I'm going to stop the share of that thing and set up the outro. To talk it out loud here. All right, my dears. So much love to you. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend too. Come say hello. Reach out to me. All right. Bye for now.
Oh, my true guide, Lord and supporter of all, forever free from identity. Be well, I'm dwelling in you. Be well, I am dwelling in you. Be well, I am dwelling in you. Vedrashkanu manta, Shivarita Gupta, Maheshwara, Paramatme Dijapi Yokto, Deyasmin Purusha.